Hello, how's it going? How are you doing? Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're doing good. I hope you're getting by. Um, my name's Dylan. I also go by Twin Crows around Skyrim modding. And today I'm going to be continuing on with Vanua. So Vanua is a dungeon I'm doing for Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil. And it is this dungeon deep underwater, kind of in the lake around the Imperial City. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the intro music there. That's by Young Scrolls. They're a fantastic creator who makes Elder Scrolls content. And yeah, they even make these kind of rap songs too. So I hope you enjoyed those ones. Today's going to be a relaxing stream. I'm going to be building out more of the dungeon. I'm over halfway through the dungeon, which is super satisfying for me. I have all these pieces all built together, and a lot of the rest of it is really just finishing off those last rooms. Hey, Lynx Moth, how's it going? Yeah, so it's pretty good. I'm happy with being at this part of building a dungeon because I really just have to finish out a few last rooms, and then I get to have a lot of fun decorating it and adding a whole bunch of baddies to it. Um, but I've started doing this thing, so you can see the Black Lives Matter tag on the video. And before I start, I do want to talk a little bit more about the um, about just kind of racism in our community and the Black Lives Matter movement again, because it's current events, it's going on all around us, and after I talk about that, we'll get right back into Skyrim modding because I know you guys enjoy these for being chill and relaxing, and I do want to keep creating that kind of content. But my method right now is just put all the challenging stuff at the very beginning, and then the rest of the stream is chill. Um, yeah. So in case you haven't seen the last couple streams, I'm 100% supportive of the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm doing what I can within this stream, within our kind of Skyrim community. I've been calling out racism when I see it in the Skyrim subreddits. I think it's important to have voices within as many communities as possible doing this, and we have to keep going. So if you see things in our community that strike you as racism, call them out. Get people to reflect on this. If people are honestly being racist right now, they're being totally ignorant, and they really deserve to feel some pressure right now. We have a Manchard 402 in chat. Hello to everyone from the damned country where I'm up in Canada. Much support to you guys. So yeah, just gonna talk a little bit about current events before we get into the relaxing level design and modding content. So last Friday, I went to my local Black Lives Matter protest in Vancouver, and it went really well. People were social distancing as much as possible. They were wearing masks. I had more masks given to me for free there than I have by my own government. So it's kind of crazy when you think about that. Um, Manchard 402 in chat saying, I'm from Russia. You're from Russia. Wow, that's really cool. Do you want to show you guys? So this is my sign. So I have stop tolerating racism on that side, and then Black Lives Matter on this side. So it's a pretty good one. That was it was fun. It's nice to kind of really get to carry that around in a protest. So I live in Canada, which a lot of people know is a very polite country, but racism is pervasive here too. White supremacy is everywhere you look. But a lot of white people pretend here that it doesn't exist because it's not blatant or because they're lucky enough to be able to ignore it. The worst thing that I see is a lot of white people pretending that racism is natural or deserved, or that if we just wait, it'll go away on its own. It's a whole lot deeper than that. It's not going to just go away. It won't change because the rich are becoming richer and the poor are becoming poorer. There are fundamental problems. You can't reform these problems. You have to create a different system. And until that different system is in place, we have to kind of keep pushing, all of us together. So in Canada, in regards to racism, it's almost like apartheid South Africa here. Honestly, not only are Black people socially oppressed, um, they're pushed into certain kinds of jobs, but our own indigenous people, the native people, are really badly oppressed here too. So literally, the people whose land this is are, a lot of them are in prisons, and it's indefensible. There's no way to defend that. So I hope that we can dismantle that. I hope we can do it globally. Um, yeah. So okay. So then I've also had some people, not many people. I've had a lot more people be supportive of this, but I have had some people tell me that they're unhappy with this sort of political aspect to the streams. Um, I like it though. I personally really think that this is important to do. So it's going to keep happening. It's my stream and I have the ability to keep doing it, so I will. It's also kind of funny to me that some people are surprised that modders like me have such strong leftist political opinions. And I mean, modders are the ones who are putting thousands of unpaid work into creating free content for everyone to enjoy. Um, in what reality would we not be communists? Of course, a lot of us are communists. That's what we're doing. Open source collaboration is kind of inherently communist. Free modding is communism. We told Bethesda that it would be this way years ago. Our entire community rejected money and modding, and we dismantled capitalism in Skyrim modding. So yeah, there's that. But fundamentally, I think a lot of the blowback I'm seeing from people is because there are people who are feeling anxiety. They're worried about what's going on and the changes that are happening. And they're wondering, what does it mean now that there's this surge of consciousness in North America, even globally? What happens as a result? And I think there's a lot of big changes happening. I think a lot, but the thing that shouldn't scare people is that these changes are being motivated by humanity and a love for each other. So please do not be afraid. This is an enormous opportunity to grow our own humanity. But at the same time, it's also okay to take a break. It's essential to do self-care. Make some progress every day, but make sure you're getting the support you need to endure and to keep pushing. Take some time off, relax, play games, escape from it all. The human brain needs sleep, and we dream for a reason. Uh, but when you're done, when you're rested up, push even harder the next day. Push harder than before. Uh, Try and leave your comfort zone. Balance these things together. Use entertainment productively to help you relax and so that you can make a difference. No single person is making these changes happen. It's coming from all of us contributing our own individual strength towards a kind of collective humanity. It's a matter of hundreds of millions of people doing what they think is right. So I want to just let you guys know, for my streams now on, I'm going to be doing a donation campaign for Color of Change. So Color of Change is a racial justice organization that runs social and political campaigns to build power for Black communities in America. They make and support movements that are challenging injustice, and they're supporting research into how inequalities perpetuate themselves and the best way of deconstructing racism in the long term, permanently. So they're what this is all about. Color Change is putting forward true, lasting solutions for racial justice, and they're changing our world. When you donate to them, it makes a impact on improving our world. They've done all the science. All they need now is the power to shape reality. So if you've supported me in the past or have considered supporting me instead, I want to encourage you to donate to this campaign instead. I'm doing fine. I have a roof over my head. I have a decent job. I have enough to pay the bills. Black people need more power than I do right now. So you can donate. There's a button on the Twitch page if you scroll down a little bit. It's a link just under that Black Lives Matter image. And when I upload this to YouTube, you will be able to donate. I'll just put the description up in the link there, or in the I'll put the link in the description. My goal is to get to 500 bucks within 2 months. I don't have all that many viewers, so if you do appreciate the stuff, if you've appreciated my mods or my streams, do think about donating 10 or 20 bucks to the cause. I also do have my Twitter, so you can follow me on my Twitter. That's a good way to stay connected and learn about kind of more of this perspective, and to see, you know, what's going on with this enormous upswell of humanity that we're all living through. I try and retweet the best stuff I find every day. We're living through what is, you know, I think it's one of the most large historical movements in quite some time. You could even call it a revolution, but that might be premature, maybe too early for that. It's certainly a social revolution. It's changing the way we think. And we'll see how it goes, right? So yeah, today we're going to continue with Vanua. I am going to put on the chill music. All right. Cool. So I think that level's pretty good. If it's too loud or too quiet, I've heard sometimes that I put it a little bit too high and it drowns my own voice out. So let me know if it's too loud and I can turn it down. Yeah, so awesome. Cool, you guys are saying it's good in chat. Thank you. Sweet. So, I do a stream beer. So I have a stream beer. Today my beer is called Dat Juice. It is a Citra Pale Ale from a brewery nearby me. It's kind of nice. It's kind of a fruity beer. We're going to be going for 3 hours today. Change the sound levels a bit because it's a little loud for me. Ligsmoth in chat saying, I'm currently drawing out borders on a big old fantasy map file. My computer hates me, I blame my graphics card. That's awesome. Maps are so cool, like you're doing like drawing cartography and stuff. Spaceman, yes, you're the one who got into Beyond Skyrim. I submitted my first set of interiors the other day as well. Nice, Spaceman 2202. Well done. So yeah, so over here on Vanua, I'll walk you guys through what the dungeon currently looks like, and then we'll get to the end of all the completed stuff, and then I'll start building out kind of where it's all where I still have to. So over here, this is Vanua. Vanua starts underwater. It's like near the Imperial City. You actually dive under the lake, and then you go through this door here. So you kind of pop up here, and then you have to get out of the water so your character doesn't drown. You go through a few hallways. So these hallways here, where there are going to be skeletons. There's going to be skeletons in this area that attack you. Good old Iliad dungeon. And then you kind of keep going forward. One of the things that I am the most happy with how it is these vines here. These vines at the back of these catacombs. I think those are just fantastic. And then you kind of keep going forward, and then up here climbs up. There's this room here. I put this dead bandit down there, and there's kind of a boss skeleton there. That'll be fun. And then you can go through here. So this cave. And then you go to Vanua 2. It's so nice to like look at it now, because it has been so many hours in the making, right? Like all of these dungeons, when we work on them, it takes so many hours. And to have it there, you're just like, yes, the product of my labor. I've worked so hard on this, and then you can just enjoy it. And, yeah. So just need to catch up to where. There it is. Okay, so on this side, you start in this cave, climb up, and then you enter into an Imperial Ruin. So this is a really interesting dungeon because it starts out as Alien, and then it turns into Imperial, which is a very strange thing for a dungeon. So it's very cramped in here though. Let's see if I can get the camera. Linksmoth in chat saying he was learning this stuff, but it's so hard to learn when my computer has a hissy fit and keeps crashing. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. Like, I know when I was learning, it crashed a whole lot more than it crashes now, and I'm not sure if that's because like when I was testing and trying new things, I would use the system in ways that it didn't expect, and then it crashed. Because sometimes I'll do a stream and I'll be good for like an hour and a half, and I'll only have like one crash maybe every 2 hours or something, and sometimes I'll go through a whole stream and it won't even crash once. It's definitely certain areas that it crashes more. I find like if I'm editing quests and things, it tends to be, you know, more frequent. There's definitely, like with computers, they're always like binary, so like whenever there's a crash, there's always something that caused that crash. Linksmoth is saying when he was crashing, it was because he was doing like the editing races and creating new races in Elder Scrolls. Okay, and then so there's this kind of cave area here. You keep going forward, and then you get into this area. So this room is, this one is actually where this is what I was working on last stream. I just built this huge room with these different levels to it, and this is where back in Oblivion, the Helm of the Crusader was an item you got in the Knights of the Nine DLC, and so I'm recreating that. I'm kind of making it similar, but not exactly the same. I'm not going to give you the Helm of the Crusader in this dungeon, but for the player who plays this, they're going to get something that's kind of a replica. So it's not quite the Helm of the Crusader. It's something corrupted. I'm thinking I might add a lich in here and stuff too. Alright, so that's that room. And then if I go over to the next one, I was working on this room. This one actually has a little bit more work done on it. And there's this area you can actually climb up, I think. If you jump up here, you should be able to hop up. And then there's a little hidden treasure chest up there. Probably put an enemy up there too once I get to the enemies. And I also built this path here in the water. So that's the way that you get around to the next area. It's interesting in this room back here, the height of this area here is actually too tall for the player to get up. So you can look over from here, you can see up to that side, but you can't actually get there until you go further into the dungeon. So yeah, I think in terms of rooms, I'll probably be building out this room, whichever room this one is, and hopefully it will connect over there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to boot up Oblivion. So sometimes it's a little bit noisy when I boot up my Oblivion, so just get ready for, you know, the noise. Clock Squawk asking in chat, can they whirlwind sprint up there? You might be able to. Alright. Linksmoth asking in chat, my graphics is 1536 megabytes. Is that bad? It's probably bad. I wish I knew. I don't know the technical, like, the numbers for it. Okay, so I just have to travel through, and there we go. So this is the room that I'm working at right now. So this, to compare them, this here is going to be the same as there we go. It's going to be the same as this. Getting there. There's a few things, there's definitely details that I'm gonna have to figure out how to do exactly. The Beyond Skyrim project takes place about 150 years after Oblivion. So for the version that I'm building, it's, you know, it's older. Things have collapsed and fallen down and things too. So it's nice because I get to kind of pick the details that I want to keep, and then the other ones that are too difficult or would take too much time to replicate, I'll usually just kind of collapse those down instead. But yeah, I think I might start working, I might do some details just because I feel like doing more details than doing more building right now. Yeah, I think I'll do that. It's nice to start with some stuff that's like, you can really see the difference you're making. So yeah, I need to put like a little altar up there to figure out how to do an altar. So let's see where we are. We do have cathedral altars. Is that what I want to use? No, this thing's round. Oh yeah, it's kind of the, I think it's like the way shrine altar there. What is a cathedral? I'm gonna look through our cathedral stuff. Not quite. Let's see the altar. We have some Beyond Skyrim stuff. I'm not gonna use any of those. Nice. Linksmoth in chat saying they are a semi-active concept artist for Amora. That's awesome. That's so cool. When I do level design for Skyrim mods, a lot of the times I'll refer to concept art from like the original Skyrim concept art is like insane. It's so epic. The way that the concept artist kind of created these things, and then it's really interesting to be like a level designer looking at that concept art and being like, oh wow, like this is inspiring. This is so cool. How do I make that happen in this level? How do I build it so that the player can have that experience that that I had when I saw this concept art. So I think what I'm gonna try and do with this is, I think there's like bricks or blocks. What do you call it? Blocks? Yeah, blocks. I use blocks, and I'm gonna try and build an altar there. So I'm gonna try and find something like this. We don't have anything directly like that. Got a little piece there. But we have a brazier. I'm gonna start with that brazier because that's a little bit easier to just plop down, start building that scene. So here's this brazier. I could make it bigger. I definitely could. We try not to scale stuff up too much because it can stretch the textures. But if I'm going to put it up to 1.5. Did that do it? Apparently, it did. It still looks so small though. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to boost it up quite a bit, I think. Bring it up to 1.75. Yeah, like, Linksmoth for chatting. I really appreciate it when there's always like, it's nice to see like new chat and stuff popping up. It makes it a lot more interesting for me to like run these kind of things, because sometimes if the chat is very quiet, I almost get tired. Like I actually almost get sleepy when the chat is super slow. I think the nice thing about chat too, especially for Twitch streaming, is like it always gives me, like as a streamer, it gives me like opportunities to kind of bring something up. And even if there's something that I'm like, oh, I don't know how to how to relate to that, or how to like bring it into the chat, so that like, because I always want to keep it focused on Skyrim modding and stuff. So if I ever kind of don't bring something up, sometimes, a lot of times, like I'll read it, but I might not necessarily like bring it up right away. But yeah, it's always nice to see the chat moving. And I don't get bothered if it's like the same people talking, but that's cool. I'm like almost the other side of things. Like I usually go around, like hang out with people who are very talkative, but me myself, I am more like, it's weird because like I'm introverted, but at the same time I'm not. I don't know, I think everybody has these inconsistencies, and like for me, I'm introverted in some ways, but I'm also very much not introverted in other ways. Okay, so that brazier is probably gonna work. I'm gonna see what I can do with those blocks though, because I really do want to make that altar. Oh, that's nice. 22B3 in chat is saying, personally, Twin Crows is amazing background vibes for whenever I'm doing other stuff. Thank you. I really appreciate that. When I watch people's streams, I like never chat. And for me, streams are really just kind of like, background stuff. And so it makes me really happy to hear that I can provide that kind of stuff for other people as well. right, so this is kind of, I think this is what I'm going to go for. It's going to look really, really ruined. Like, it's not at all what you saw over in Oblivion. It's really like worn down and weathered, and like I've been thinking of this idea. Somebody brought it up in chat. I think it was last stream, because Vanua is this underwater dungeon. So once I get into like the decorating phase of the dungeon, what I might do is add some different water effects. So like there's little waterfalls coming down in the dungeon, in like smaller pools of water and stuff. 22B3 is saying, went to sleep the other night to the soothing sounds of Beyond Skyrim and my voice. Thank you. That is awesome. That's exactly the kind of stuff I'm trying to do. I'm happy that I can be there to do that. So I think another thing I want to do is find like flames, fire. Is that what I'm looking for? Looking for a campfire. Link's Moth in chat saying, if any Beyond Skyrim project needs a cartographer, tell me. It is my greatest passion. Oh my god, my passion. I think it's so cool. I love digital art. I think digital art is crazy cool because we can make stuff and, you know, like thousands or like millions of people can experience it. And yeah, it's just, I think it's so cool. Try embers. Oh yeah, I'll try embers. One of the things I'm wondering about, because sometimes we're discouraged from using the vanilla like FX kind of stuff. But if I see it used in other places, it's usually okay. What I'm trying to do is kind of create like an alchemical fire, because I'll go back to the Oblivion. And you can see this fire, it's not like a burning fire necessarily, it's almost like this spiritual fire. It's like, because this is the Helm of the Crusader right here, and it's like, there's this spiritual fire that's just permanently burning there. And I want to kind of do something like that, but I think it's going to be green. I'll just go through all the fires, I think. Oh yeah, here we go. There we are. Oh, sweet. So the BSK. Oh, sweet. So the Beyond Skyrim assets have all these cool lights. Oh my god, this is perfect. I love this because the coolest thing about the projects that I see is like, I'll find something that somebody set up like years ago. It could be like 2 or like 3. You know, Beyond Skyrim, it's been going on for quite a few years. And I'll find stuff and I'll be like, yes, thank you. Whoever mysterious person, I will never know your name, but thank you for creating this thing because it is exactly what I was looking for. Awesome. Yeah, the assets are so cool. Like it's amazing. I love it because it's funny, like wherever you are in the project, you have stuff where you're like, you pick up the tools that other people worked with, and then you create something for somebody else. Because it's like the levels that I'm creating now, that's a tool for, you know, maybe a quest designer or somebody implementing the quests. It's also a tool for the player to, you know, have their own enjoyment with. And I just love finding a really cool thing where I'm like, oh my god, thank you for making this, because this fire's cool. Like that makes that scene. It totally makes that scene. Yeah, that is awesome. gonna create another light. I sometimes do that when I'm working on something. It's gonna be CYR Vanua. Done Vanua. Disgusted Noise in chat. Do you have any thoughts on where modding for Skyrim is going in the future? That's interesting. I think it's going to deepen. I think that what's happening with Skyrim modding is we're kind of digging deeper into the engine and functionality of Skyrim. The things that I would love to see are, you know, almost like new games. Like I love seeing those full overhauls. I don't play all that many of them. It's so weird with modding because like there's part of it which is honestly, just looking at cool mods is a huge part of modding for me. I'll look at way more mods than I ever play, and I think that's the coolest thing. Disgusted Noise in chat saying the creation of stuff like Nemesis, Siege, complex gameplay overhaul is insane. And Lynxmoth is saying the Tropics overhaul is wild. Yeah, I love seeing those kind of things where like people are really, you know, you do this thing, this maybe even like a small tweak, but it changes the game completely. It really changes how you interact with the game world. I think those kind of things are super creative, and yeah, like I love those kind of mods that are, you know, like it's almost like subtle, but it has a huge impact. I think that's the kind of thing that I think is really cool. Okay, so I'm gonna create a light, and this one's gonna be the light that I use for this fire here. Oh yeah, Lynxmoth is bringing up Quick Loot. Yes, I think it's just so cool. I love the mods that do like something with the interface. I think that's so nice. I have so much respect for the people who are like, you know, like really deep programmers and are like reaching into like, you know, like the people who make Sky UI. It's like, how do you do that? Like, for me, I'm always kind of operating at level design. So like, I know how to program and stuff, but like, I don't do it often, and I prefer to kind of be at this higher level of like, you know, not getting into the deep code, but more so just kind of being around. That being said, I have done mods. I've done I did two. Recently. I'm trying to grow more as a modder and get more into scripting and stuff. I created a mod called Faction Economy, and also one called Supply and Demand, which are specifically more about like the economy of Skyrim and sort of how the currency works. And Faction Economy is really cool because it actually moves the items that you sell to merchants. It moves them over into faction chests, and then those items get distributed into like leveled actors. So it's kind of cool because you can imagine like you have a Daedric armor or like a Daedric weapon, and you sell it to you know, a blacksmith in Whiterun, and if Whiterun is currently controlled by the Stormcloaks, then that weapon will get added to the Stormcloak loot, and then you might find a Stormcloak who has that weapon. Oh, that's nice. 22B3 is saying, when I learned that you had made Realm of Lorcan, I really wanted to say how much I appreciate it. It is without a doubt my favorite All-Star mod. Thank you. I'm really happy that you're enjoying it. When I made it, I was kind of like, I mean, I played the other alternate start mod, but it's so weird because it was always like you start in this dark dungeon, and I'm like, that's not the way that I think. I want to have this really fantastic, amazing space. But yeah, I'm really glad you enjoy it. I created it for people just like you. Yeah. Cookie Monster in chat. Really nice to get some first looks at the Christian kit through the stream. I'm thinking about making my own player home, because as an architect and Skyrim modding addict, I just have to. Already showed me some cool chips here. Nice. Nice. I'm stoked that you're doing that. A good place to go for that is, I'll show you guys this, because this is awesome. I'm going to show you the Creation Kit wiki. This is one of the best places to learn about modding. They almost have it set up like almost like a course. So over here, so you can see this here. You go to creationkit.com and it's going to bring you to this landing page. You can click on Skyrim here, and then over here they have tutorials. So if you click on tutorials here, that's going to bring you to a place where Bethesda, like the people who created the Creation Kit, they made this awesome page with all kinds of information about how to do all kinds of different things. And what I would really recommend is, if you're getting started on like building levels or building houses, is go through all of these tutorials and follow them. Treat it like it's almost like a class that you're taking. And you know, I say this sometimes in my stream, is like kind of slogging through it, like getting through all those tutorials, because they can be a little bit challenging and kind of frustrating when you're like, oh, I just want to create and I want to have fun. But in order to do that, everybody has to learn these fundamentals. I slogged through these, and I think a lot of the other people who end up getting to the end and getting to the point where you can publish and create and release a mod. I think a lot of those people have also gone through these tutorials, and absolutely, like 100%, I would recommend going through these tutorials. It's really cool. It's awesome once you finish it, because you're like, yes, I know how to do that thing. But yeah, they have level design tutorials. They have quest design. So if you want to build quests, they have that, and it'll show you like all of the fundamentals. The other thing I could show you guys. I'll show you guys Dark Fox on YouTube, because this is another fantastic creator in our community who has made a bunch of tutorials just, you know, for free. And they also make their own mods too, which are really cool. If you want to, sometimes an interesting way to learn some new things about a mod is like reverse engineering. So take a mod that already exists and then load it up in the Creation Kit, and you can kind of be like, wow, like that's how they did that. So yeah, there's tons of stuff here. They have lots of tutorials. I was learning how to do an MCM a little while ago, and that was super helpful. I just watched Dark Fox's tutorial, and they go through everything, all the basics you need to know to do most of it. And there's so much content out there. It's so wild, because I think the thing that's crazy about Skyrim is it's been out for a while, and all that means is that there's all this tutorial content that makes learning modding even easier, like so much easier than it was, you know, 4 years ago. There's so much out there now. All right. Oh, in chat, asking, do I RP? I do. I totally do. I'm actually playing a game right now called Cataclysm: Dark Days Ahead. It is a really cool game. It's like a kind of a roguelike post-apocalyptic game, and I'm actually doing an RP in it where on their forums for that game, I'm actually writing like a story. So like going through the character and trying to like write out like their reaction and like how they think about stuff. It's really fun. I actually really think that writing is such a great way to interact with RP, because you get to kind of look at it from this almost this third person perspective, where it's not just a game anymore. It's this story that you're playing with and interacting with. I would definitely recommend it if you've ever been interested in writing or like role playing. kind of writing out the story of the character is really, really cool. Almost doing like a journal. I think that stuff's awesome. chat asking, do you have a favorite race in Elder Scrolls Chronicles? I think my favorite has got to be the Bosmer. I like Bosmer a whole lot. I think Bosmer are really fun because I just love that, like, playing the game and just running around the wilderness. Chat saying the Bosmer are reverse vegans. Yep, they only eat meat. I think that's a really funny thing. And they also make really good stealth archers too. I definitely am a stealth archer. I enjoy it. I don't know what it is. There's something about it where it's just like, even though there's a lot of people who are like, oh, stealth archers, I just think it's fun. It's fun to, you get to choose the terms of engagement. You get to choose when you want to fight. It's really fun. I like that. I also like playing with spells. I love using fury spells and just like making the enemies fight each other. I think that's so fun in like any bandit dungeon. Chat is like, no, not the stealth archers. Yep, stealth archers. Linksmoth is saying in chat, I love bound weapons. I love bound bow stealth archers because you don't have to carry bow arrows. That's really cool. I actually never tried bound bows all that much, except for one time when I was doing some testing for, like, I have a mod which is a slow time mod, and it has a really cool interaction with the archery system, because if you slow time in the game, because there's the vanilla shout, which is like a slow time shout, I used that and I changed it so it's a spell in the alteration school instead, and you can like almost freeze time. So when you're using the bow with freeze time, you can actually like fire off like 4 shots, and then the freeze time effect ends and the 4 shots go like zoop, zoop, zoop. They just go flying, and they all kind of connect at once. It's such a fun way to play with the archery stuff, because it's kind of like you can, if you're doing stealth too, you can you use the freeze time and then you line up like 4 shots and then they all just go flying, and you can like, I think the stealth attack only worked for the first one, but from stealth you can launch out like an ambush of like 4. So it's not just stealth archer, but it's stealth archer plus, where you're not just getting one cheesy shot, but you're just cheesing the whole thing. That's the way I like to play. I think everything is acceptable in Elder Scrolls mods. I think if you want to play it however you want, that's cool. I think the real amazing thing about modding is that it is so customizable. You can make it however you want it. And I think that is exactly what it's all about. Yeah, if you're interested in that mod, I think it's just called Slow and Freeze Time Spells. I think that's the name of it, and it's pretty good. The way it was actually one of the first mods I did, so it's not the most elegant one. Like, there might be some more elegant slow time spells out there, especially probably in like the big magic packs. But one of the perks about mine is that it doesn't interact. I don't think it interacts with the level list. So what you can do is, the spells instead, they're sold by a single merchant, and that merchant is called, I think his name's Kronos, and he lives in Markarth. So the nice thing about this one is, rather than having to like find the spell book randomly, you can just go to like the one merchant that I added who specifically sells all those spells. So I think I'm gonna try and recreate this where they have like a big fence here, because you guys were bringing up the idea of like whirlwind sprint where you could use it to like kind of jump across, and I think if I put the fence here it will either prevent it or it'll make it harder. Blinksmoth, your power went out. I had like a... Oh, it's back now. That's good. Yeah, the routers have to reset. The power comes back on. Alright, so I have this kind of a fence going on. I'm very proud of this little fence here. It is made from pieces. This is a kvatch, a kvatch metal fence here, and some stone bricks. I think that'll do the trick. Hopefully that will make it so that the player can't. They might still be able to hop over it, but you know, it's a little bit more difficult with that fence there. Maybe I'll just raise it just a little bit more. Tutu B3 asking in chat, what would you like to see if the creation kit got a big update like creation kit 2.0? Yeah, I think the things that I would like to see if they made big improvements to the creation kit would be making scripting and quests creating quests a whole lot more accessible. Like, in addition to just sort of making it more of a reliable system so that it doesn't crash every hour and a half, like it shouldn't crash all that often, and I think there's some kind of predictable things that could crash, but yeah, in terms of like things I'd love to see them do, I think it'd be a huge help if they made it easier to do questing and scripting, because I think those are actually the kinds of mods that you don't see as much, and I think the reason for that is because they're actually pretty difficult to make. Like, in order to do quests, you actually have to know how to script in the language called Papyrus. So there's actually only a few people who know how to do that, and it takes a while to get decent at Papyrus. And I'd love to see them just make one of those interfaces, because one thing I see a lot in terms of like software and stuff is like there's this movement away from code and into like interfaces that are kind of like code. So you don't need to be a programmer, but you can just, you logically connect these things together using like an interface that's like drag and drop rather than like typing. And I think that would make the next Elder Scrolls game really explode. Like, you would see a whole lot more people doing quests and even conversations and dialogue, like making the interface easier to use so that you don't have to slog through these really lengthy tutorials in order to understand some of these things. Like, I would love to make, just kind of like that idea of just democratizing it, like make it easier for people to use, so that like we don't have to, so that we get more people who get to create these things. That's one thing that I'm also trying to do, even through just these streams, is like show everybody this is how it is. This is how it is to work with. I mean, I work with level design, so it's a little bit easier for me to do this because you get to show it off. But even for scripting and quest stuff like that, yeah, I think one of the best things they could do for a Creation Kit 2.0 would be making the interfaces easier. So this is kind of interesting too. Oh wow! So this is how you get in this area. And there's a few ways in. Let's see. I think that is. That's really interesting. So there's kind of this dead end thing. I thought this was more important, but it looks like it's just kind of a dead end. And so the way you actually get in to that room is through the side. So there's a hole. I have to make a hole. And that's got to be right over here. That's the side that you get in. Cool. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move over to doing more of these tiers and stuff. I'm going to create more rooms. So I think I left off right after I finished this. Yeah, right over here. So I have another room here I want to build. So this one is just kind of a 3x3 square. So that's right here. Awesome. So yeah, I've been playing playing some games. I've been playing that Cataclysm game a lot, but also something different, a different game. I've actually been playing, and this is something I think some people might not expect, but I've been playing a game called Just Dance. So Just Dance is it's just a game where you have it's for the Switch, and you use the Switch controller and you just move around, right? And it's been really good because for me, like I work in IT, I don't get up all that often, and one of the great things that I can do is doing some more exercise from home. So I found that Just Dance has been awesome for that. Plus, one thing that's great about it too is you kind of get to practice dancing and get more comfortable with dancing. That's one thing that when I was like young, I was like, yeah, dancing's super fun. But when I got older, and like I'm not old, I'm like 27, but as I kind of grew up and became into my teens, I had my teens where I'm like, I don't dance. So it's fun. It's good to kind of get out of that shell of like, I guess insecurity is really the reason why I haven't done dancing as much. It's good to practice, honestly. It's fun because you get to move around and stuff. Yeah. Couple people in chat saying, dancing is terrifying. Dancing is not my thing. That's the thing, though. I think we have to kind of get back into it, right, and make it something that we're comfortable with doing. Because I think that I don't know. It's something. Having that confidence, I think, is great because if you can do that, then I think you really have control over yourself. Linksmoth saying in chat, I come from a long line of awful dancers. I must continue the legacy. Who knows? Maybe one day there will be the child who breaks the legacy, and they'll be like, all of those years of not dancing will just like concentrate in that one child who grows up and just becomes the best dancer in the world. Maybe that's your origin story. Maybe you'll become that one person who's just out of nowhere, a fantastic dancer. Cookie Monster in chat. We Sing is as far as I'll go. That's a game like Just Dance, and I think that one is, that one's a singing one. That one's cool. Link's Moth in chat. I can't even keep up with the beat, man. It's honestly, it's like anything. It just takes experience. It takes failures, and looking at those failures and being, what do I do better next time? What's the secret? How do I get better at this? I think learning is a matter of failing and reflecting on failing. Linksmoth, you fool, I have anxiety, I cannot fail. That's the thing, right? I think that culturally, we're so uptight about like failing that a lot of us just don't try anything. And I think that's something I think a lot of us go like, maybe this is something we ought to change about ourselves, because we can't be afraid of eventually becoming good. I think there's that expectation. It's got to come from, like the school environment and, being tested all the time. That creates this weird anxiety of like, we have to be this perfect person who never messes up because, we're always being watched and graded on our performance. And I think it's important not to keep that with you and not to kind of let it in too much, because it's I don't know. I think a lot of us, we see that it doesn't necessarily help us out, or like there's a lot of times where we're like, man, if I just wasn't worried about failing, I could try this out. but yeah, like I mean, I think because for me, like I'm 27 and I'm saying a lot of these things because I've just kind of lived through that stuff, and eventually I think I got to an age where I'm just like, hey, I'm just gonna go for it. Like there's no yeah. I think after a while I just like, yeah, there's no reason not why not to. I just love the sound of these skeletons. Oblivion had so many good sounds to it, like the soundscape of it is just amazing. That's another thing I hope for the next Elder Scrolls game is almost going back to Oblivion and what was fantastic about Oblivion. Like the bone creaking sounds. If they brought those back, they would have a real winning game right there. It's as easy as that. Oh, this is cool. This is one of the coolest assets that I'm so happy we have, is we actually have these statues. They do have those in Skyrim though. They do, yeah. I feel like there's this weird thing about nostalgia, and I think that it happens to me too, where I'm like, I feel something nostalgic hits me in a way where I'm like, oh man, I wish they had that still. But it's like, they do. It's literally right there. But it's just, I think it's a way that we experience nostalgia, where we feel like it doesn't exist anymore, but it's like, the thing is right there. It's still there. Alright, so I want to make a couple doors and stuff in here. Tutu B3 in the chat is saying, Beyond Skyrim has some incredibly talented composers on their team. They do. It's so cool to see that this music, it's not just something that that paid professionals do, but it's also something that we can do, just as part of like our enjoyment of community. There's some fantastic music. If you're looking for ambient music and stuff, try looking up like Beyond Skyrim music. I know there's a lot of it on SoundCloud. You can probably find it on YouTube as well, and there's just incredible ambient tracks. It really does rival the actual game itself. The music is one of the things that, you know, if you think about the music in Skyrim and stuff, like it's made by one or two people anyway. So the music that we create in Beyond Skyrim, it's almost the same. Like it's almost the same quality. I think the only difference is the number of years that of experience that the people creating it have had. Because the paid professionals, they just had more experience. And one of the things that's really cool about these projects too is that contributing and kind of building this stuff for a lot of the artists is a way of gaining experience. It's kind of like practice and training. We work in this area, and that gives us more knowledge, more experience. That's awesome. Winter Turtle in chat is saying, I have a playlist of the Beyond Skyrim music. I like it just as much as the actual Elder Scrolls music. I think that's so cool. It's just like such a such proof that like these things that we're making, we can make them too. Link's Moth in chat. It's raining so hard right now. It was supposed to be a storm. I live over in Vancouver. We were supposed to get a storm, but we had some rain, but not a whole lot yet. Usually it's super rainy, but so far it has actually been very bright out and stuff. Link's Moth. I think Maryland stole your storm because we're getting a lot of rain. It's totally possible. It might have just moved around. Where? Yeah. Oh yeah, this is cool. I like this a lot. I have... Yeah, okay, so now that I've collapsed this bit, I'm actually just going to get rid of some of the stuff that was in the middle so that you can actually see through to the other side of this, but you can't walk through it. Yeah, you guys are heat stroke. Oof. Well, I mean, you're not saying you're dying of heat stroke. You're describing how hot it is. But New York, very hot over there right now. That's the thing, right? We have all this crazy weather, and it happens, you know, just at the right time when there's a pandemic and everybody's supposed to stay inside. We had the opposite problem over in Vancouver, because the weather was like super beautiful, and everybody's like, "Why is it so wonderful right now?" when everybody's supposed to stay inside. Why can't it be this nice at like a normal time? Yeah, Canada's really cool. Snow, you definitely see a lot more of it if you live around like the east. I live over in Vancouver, which is kind of like almost like a temperate rainforest. We live so close to the ocean, and we're kind of surrounded by it that we don't get much snow. We usually get snow every year at least. I love it. I love snow so much. I was born in a snowier place than I live right now, and I just have those memories of like all of this snow being around, and being a little kid, you get like bundled up in these like thick winter jackets and stuff. Cold is nice. I prefer cold to heat. Except for food. I'm like a maniac for spicy food. I like cold weather and spicy food. Dogster202 in chat. Can't even remember the last time the UK had snow. I think it was 2017. Yeah, I heard you guys had quite a heat wave. I think a few months ago, or several months ago. This is cool. This is So I'm looking for a statue. I'm looking for specific statues. This is going to be an anvil, you guys. There's going to be this really cool mermaid statue over an anvil. That is super cool. And that is cool. I'm going to leave it up while I keep looking. There's the anvil statue. Yeah, I want to see more of this stuff. Like, I think Skyrim, the Nordic stuff was cool. I think it was interesting. I just love that like general fantasy aesthetic. I think that is the thing I'd love to see out of the next Elder Scrolls game. Is almost like more of a generic fantasy environment. Cookie Monster asking, how are those even created? It's really interesting, and I know enough I can describe that. It starts in a program called Blender. So for 3D models, they create the mesh, the 3D mesh over in, oh, wait, we have one correction. Lynxmoth, who does concept art, is saying step number 1. Uno is the concept artist. So the concept artist draws out a sketch of what the object is going to look like. And yes, that is 100% true. So after that sketch, a 3D modeler will create a 3D mesh that looks the same, and then a texturer will texture it and kind of paint it. And then after that, like the texture and the mesh is combined into a file called a .nif file. This is it's kind of like specific to like the Elder Scrolls stuff. But yeah, it's so cool. Anvil is an awesome city. Cool. So these are the ones. I'll flip back to Oblivion and take a look. So we have these statues, right? These statues are the same as these statues. So we have one version with a sword, one with the sword broken, and then one with the top half broken. We also have mossy versions too, and snowy versions. That is cool. I'll have to consider if I want to put moss in here. That might be kind of cool. I'll pick the normal one for now, just the unbroken one. Let me see. Lynxmoth, yeah, looking for posting a video. I'm gonna see if I can try posting it, and then I'm not sure if I have links blocked for Twitch or anything. But if it blocks your link, I'm gonna see if there's a way I can change that at all. Nice, it worked. Okay, cool. I think it's so cool. I love all so like modders are creators in this kind of public, common space that we're all sharing. But YouTube videos and like people who are creating stuff on YouTube are doing the same stuff. And I think it's so cool the way that we're all building the fandom together. Everybody's doing different things to kind of add more content. thank you. Yeah, I think it's so cool to see the ways that like these series, because like I've always had that same reaction to it, where like I started getting into the series around. Well, I played like Morrowind when I was a kid, and then Oblivion was the one that I really, got into it, and I love seeing all the stuff that happens online for like, even for Skyrim, I never really used like Tumblr that much, but seeing the community for Skyrim on Tumblr is fascinating because I think the the Skyrim community on Tumblr looks at the game in this really cool way where they seem like they're so much more interested in the characters and the world. Um, Whereas the community on Reddit is more so concerned with like the gameplay and stuff. And I I think it's so cool. I love seeing the way that people are kind of being impacted by the game and kind of the things that people are doing to create this community around it and everything. It's so fun, and I'm really happy to have spent so much time in this community and learning how to do all this stuff um, so that I could kind of be contributing and building it up. But yeah, it's so cool. I love how games are our culture nowadays. Like it's kind of the way that we are experiencing and relating to each other, and um, I just think it's so cool. I think it's funny because like I think video games, they had that period where people were kind of like, oh, these are nerdy things, and these are kind of lame. I'm lucky that I live in a city where you have like anime conventions and stuff, and just knowing that like there's so many other people who are really into nerdy stuff, and it really is a culture. It's it's sometimes I think it's difficult because if we have our hometowns or like our individual environments, we feel like we're the only ones who are into games. Like we feel like we're really nerdy because nobody else around us is into these things. But then looking at it globally and going, there's actually a ton of people who are into like modded games and stuff. I think in reality, there's a ton of people who are into this stuff. It's just that we're all like split across the world. So I think through the internet, we're able to connect to each other. 22B3 saying, low key cry whenever Beyond Skyrim releases a new dev diary. It's and Turtle Time in chat saying it's the highlight of my month, to be honest. That is so cool, you guys. That means so much, honestly, to be these people creating it too, because in some ways we kind of work in a vacuum, and that's kind of what I wanted to do as far as like streaming this stuff, is because a lot of times if I wasn't streaming it, I would just be kind of doing it alone in my room. And I think streaming it has been this awesome experience because I get to talk to you guys about like this is building it, and we can actually do it socially. I think doing it together is something that I hope I intend to keep doing. And I hope more people do it too. I hope more modders find a way to build streams around what they do. I think it's such a cool thing. 22B3, what am I drinking? I am drinking, well, I'm drinking out of a kind of like a drinking horn that I got from a craftsman around my area. It's just this awesome like goat horn mug. I am drinking a beer. It is called Dat Juice. It is a Citra Pale Ale. Just something nice to help loosen me up for chat, because sometimes I'll be like, oh my god, I'm anxious. I think it's nice to it makes me more social, I think, is one of the things. And I don't, yeah. Ooh, Myst. Link's Moth. My stepdad loved playing Myst, though, so he gets it to an extent. Myst is such an interesting game. I think for a lot of people, I know my parents too, one of their real like first exposures to games was also like Myst, as far as like something that they played for a while. He likes things that make him think. Myst is definitely like that. Myst is so fascinating because it's one of those first games. I think the closest thing nowadays that I know of is those kind of games that they call them like walking simulators, and I don't think that name is completely fair. I think that's kind of a bad way to call those kind of games, but really they're like these puzzle first person kind of, you're walking around a world and exploring it, and in those games there's usually not like much action or like all that many like necessarily like challenges or things that'll come out and try and fight you or anything. It's more like kind of walking around and exploring this world. One of the ones that I can remember is, I think there's one called Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, and it's a game where you kind of like, you're walking around this world but like everybody's disappeared, and the story of it is you're kind of like figuring out like, where did everybody go? Like everybody's disappeared, and yeah, it sounds like a very interesting game. Kind of a creepy one, from my understanding. Chat asking, what is your favorite part of world building and role playing? I think the coolest thing about world building and role playing is putting yourself into another world, like another kind of environment, and thinking about what it's like to be in that world, like the differences in how you would think about things and how you would do things. I'm playing D&D, like I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons right now, and I'm playing a gnome in it, and I think one of the things that is really funny to me is just this idea of like gnomes are smart, but they have like a different kind of logic from how humans think. Like humans are very interested in like, you know, foundational principles and like you know, like knowledge and like absolute knowledge and stuff. But I think gnomes are very different because they're really like flexible and they're all over the place. They're more likely to like combine these things that are unrelated, but they'll be like, oh yeah, you know, these things are completely related for, you know, no real obvious reason. But yeah, that's one thing that I like about world building and role playing is like that environment and kind of thinking about like how would somebody who lives in this world think, you know, what would be what would be some of the different things that that they would be interested in and stuff like that. One thing I'd love to do, I'm gonna see if I can figure out a good way to do it, is go back to the oblivion again. Right over here, there's kind of like this thing here. I don't know, it's hard for me to explain it, but this ledge here, I'm gonna see if I can figure out a good way to do something like that, because I think it adds a lot of texture to the room, because it adds that depth to it. One thing that I really loved about Elder Scrolls lore that I really got into for a while is the pantheons and like all of the deities, like the Aedra and like all the Daedra. Like, it was just so interesting to go like, you know, oh wow, like there's this Daedra and they do this and stuff like that. I think that's one thing that's really cool about world building is all of those gods. I think it's so cool because it's kind of like the gods in, I think, fantasy settings are at the same time, they're both the reflections of like the people and how the people think, but they're also like, you know, actual existing, you know, gods that walk around and do things and stuff. And I think that lends like a lot of really interesting opportunities for just ideas of like what happens and stuff. One of my favorite games is Dwarf Fortress. So Dwarf Fortress is, I like these roguelikes. It's, you know, it's funny actually, I play a lot of these like almost text-based games and stuff like that, and Dwarf Fortress is one of the craziest, like, it's hard to play, but it's really cool to think about. And they do this generation of the whole world. They generate the geography, and then they generate these gods and like things like that. And you know, everything stems from that as it like simulates the whole history of the world. And they also kind of, they have these gods in it too, and they have you'll have like different characters who worship different ones. You have gods of like death and stuff like that. So if you have a necromancer in the game, they'll worship a specific god. Cookie Monster in chat. I always praise one of the Elder Scrolls Daedra or Aedra when playing a D&D cleric. That is cool. Link's Moth in chat. I'm writing down crafting recipes for a ton of games, a ton of items in a game right now. For what purpose? Completionism. That's cool. I love doing that with like games where like you can write stuff like outside of the game. I think that's one of the coolest ways to interact with the game, is kind of bring it outside and bring it into like paper and pen. I think that's so fun. I played a game called Conan Exiles for a little while, which is like a player versus player building game. It's almost like Minecraft, except you also like slaughter each other with like bows and arrows and stuff. And I would draw the bases that I wanted to build and try and figure out like, okay, what's the best way to build a building with like the best security and stuff. You guys are saying that sounds like Minecraft Hunger Games. It really is. It's kind of like just Minecraft, but like reskinned to be like Conan the Barbarian. It was a good game. Definitely, if I ever play it again, I don't think I'd do PvP, because PvP it just takes so much out of you, and like there's this because the servers are like permanent servers and stuff. You have people who like are on all day and they're just grinding material, and it's like, how do I compete with you when you're just doing this all day? It ends up being just a competition for who can spend the most time on the game, which is kind of every game, every multiplayer game, if you think about it. Who can spend the most time? I was trying something experimental here. I don't know if this is going to work. I scaled down some of these walls. They're kind of the same wall that I was using over here. I scaled them down to see if I could make kind of a thing here. I'm not sure if... Maybe... This is the interesting thing about like when you're trying something experimental, because there's this kind of like gap between it working and being awesome and it not working at all. And sometimes it's just a matter of like figuring out how do you bridge that gap that'll make it actually work and be cool. I think this will work though. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm gonna put these pillars because I was trying to figure out how to connect these things and how to get it to be just in the level. I think that'll be the best way to do it. It's gonna look different from Oblivion, but I'm trying to make it as similar as I can. Cool, I think I've got this thing. Figured out how to get it to go. Linksmoth is asking, anyone rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender? Me and my girlfriend, we actually have a... oh no. Oh, I think there's a spider in the other room. I hear my girlfriend is saying she doesn't like something. I'll be right back. I think I have to go and remove a spider. Alright, it was a false alarm. My girlfriend was like, not quite like screaming, but just like kind of like a little scream. I thought it was a spider, but it turns out she's playing Resident Evil right now, and she got eaten by a boogeyman, and it really spooked her out. We do get a lot of we get a lot of spiders around our area because we live in a basement suite in like a rainforesty kind of an area. So we definitely get a lot of spiders trying to crawl into our house. And of course, I get the duty of getting rid of them. Yeah, I used to get really spooked. I remember when I was younger, actually when I was quite young, when I was like in my teens, I couldn't. I was really into Dead Rising, but I couldn't play it because it was too scary for me to play myself. So I'd ask my brother to play Dead Rising, and I would just watch him play it. B3 in chat. My cousin's out fighting dragons. What do I get? Spider duty. Linksmoth in chat. I can do horror for most media, but interaction that comes with games is too much. I've come a long way though. I used to be totally unable to watch horror. Oh my god, I'm actually, it's really funny. I think my favorite genre of movies is zombie movies, but I am not good at watching horror movies in general. Which is funny because it's, you know, those kind of like, it seems like a contradiction because like I'm not into horror movies, but I like zombie movies. And yeah, like something about genuine horror. I just I don't know. I've played some pretty good horror games. I've played like a game called Penumbra. That one was a good one. Good first person creepy game. Chad asking, do you like Shaun of the Dead? I do. That's one of my favorite movies. Linksmoth in chat recommending The Ritual. I watched a Canadian kind of zombie movie called Pontypool, and it is a creepy movie because it's like there's zombies in it, but they're not necessarily like normal zombies. They're like kind of just these kind of mental zombies. They're still like violent and stuff, but yeah, they're crazy because that one is a good spooky zombie movie. The thing I like about zombie movies, I think, is a lot of them are like, especially the Romero ones, are like kind of critiques on consumerism to some degree, and as well as I think they show like how people can come together in like disasters and things to help each other. Those are some of the things I like about zombie movies. I'm not into gore. I don't. That's not the reason why I watch them at all. I think it has a purpose in the zombie movie because it's meant to be horrifying. But yeah, the things that I like about them are that it's kind of about, how do people survive together. I think it's cool how like everybody has their own preferences, and some people are into like one kind of movie and other people are into another kind of movie. Cool, I am stoked with how this thing here is coming along. Cookie Monster, it's 3 a.m. where you are. Gonna go to sleep. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out. I'll have the rest of the stream up on YouTube. I also put these up on YouTube probably within a day or two. So if you're ever interested in just listening to the rest of it, it'll be up there too. So yeah, thanks for coming by. It was, it's a joy talking to you guys, all of you. So thanks for being here. building spot. I'm starting to wind down a bit. I blame extreme introversion. It's always a matter of, I think, I guess, coming out and talking for a little bit. I think for me too, like I'm very introverted, and I've said this before. Like when I do watch streams, I actually very rarely talk or like chat with the streamer, and so I appreciate it a whole lot for those of you, even if you are kind of introverted, kind of lending some support and chatting for a little bit. I really do appreciate it, and it helps me. It helps me get over my own introversion too. So thank you, and don't feel like you need to. Keep chatting if you're tired or anything. Uh, 22B3. Is there a particular quality that an NPC can have that makes them much more believable of a person, in your opinion, Twin Crows? Believability. I think the thing that I love about believability for characters is the sense that like every character used to be a baby once. Like they came from a place, things happened to them, and then they became a certain kind of person. I think that is one of the things that I like most about things is backstories, but not just like a little bit of backstory, but like the whole thing, where it's like, okay, these were their parents, these were this is where they were born, these are the events that led to them, you know, usually becoming a hero or a villain. Like these are the events that happened that created their character, because a character is kind of you know, like almost like a personality based off of experiences. To B3 saying, I know what you mean. Lucian is my favorite follower on the Nexus, and he really is a summation of his history. That is cool. There's so many good follower mods. Like, I think that's one of the things that has really been done well is followers. I think followers are so cool because it's like, in terms of, you know, characters, you a follower, you actually get to have them like around you in the game, and I love that people have like done voice lines for these followers and everything. That is one of the coolest things. One thing I love about Skyrim modding is there's so much out there. Like, in two ways. There's a whole lot of stuff out there, but there's also a whole lot of room for new stuff to be created too. I've been modding for like 4 years, and in the time that I've been modding, I have been actually playing the game less because I've been spending all this time building and learning how to build and stuff. And the cool thing about that is like, there's so much content out there that like when I want to like go through and like really play the game, there's so much to draw from. Like it's always there's this idea of modding, like mod it till it breaks kind of thing. And I feel like a good perspective for modding is like download enough mods that you're content to play the game. Like it's always going to be the same game fundamentally. Like it's kind of I think some people are often like very kind of almost like ravenous about mods, where they'll download more and more, and they'll get more mods, and it's like they can never be satisfied because there's always more mods going on. And I feel that too, and I've had a lot of times when I've just been downloading more and more mods. But I think a good perspective to take with mods, almost a more functioning perspective, is treating it like it's going to be the same game. What are the ways that you can mod the game so that you can get more enjoyment out of the things that you like? Because I think so often you can really get like lost in downloading more and more mods and never quite being satisfied. And I think that there's kind of a way around that. And I think that way is almost like critical thought of like, what do I really like about this? What am I trying to get out of my experience? Cool. Well, yeah. Thanks for coming, 22B3. It was nice to, yeah, it was really nice to chat with you. Yeah, and hope you have a good afternoon and evening and stuff. And yeah, thanks. I think you said some really nice things about like kind of how the stream. Yeah. So yeah, thank you a whole lot. And yeah, this I'll be doing this stream every week. So I think I'll be on Wednesdays too. So it'll just be kind of, yep. I'll be hosting it weekly. So yeah. Exciting Spoon asking, where is Vanua? Vanua is it's over by the Imperial City. It's kind of like southeast of it in the lake around the Imperial City. So it's going to be in the province of Cyrodiil. And the cool thing about Vanua is it is underwater. It is like under the lake, and then there's the entrance. So in a way, it's kind of an underwater dungeon. I don't think there's much swimming in it, but I might put some waterfalls and stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Vanua, I picked it because it's an interesting dungeon, and like we didn't have any quests planned for it. So yeah, and yeah, Exciting Spoon asking any cool unique reward. There will be. Over here, I am gonna put something right here, and I'll hop over to the Oblivion because I can show you here in Oblivion. So I'm recreating this thing, recreating this dungeon, and this thing right here. I'm actually kind of gonna recreate this. This is called the Helm of the Crusader, and it is the helmet of Pelennor Whitestrake. I'm gonna be recreating not quite it exactly because there's already like a mod where you can get the all the stuff, like including the Helm of the Crusader, and I think we're considering that mod to be canon. So what we're doing instead, what I'm going to do is create kind of this replica. So it's not quite the same as this helmet, but it's like a corrupted, fake version of it. I might actually make that now. It might be a good time for that. So if I go over to armor, yeah, the mod is, I think it's a Creation Club DLC where you get like, they give you, I think they have a quest for it, where you get like all that armor from the Knights of the Nine. So I'm going to try and find a helmet. I'm going to use one of our Cyrodiil helmets, and I'm going to try and like reskin it. It would almost be an ebony helmet actually. Ebony might be the best one to go for here. But this is kind of cool. You can see all the different helmets that are going to be in the game. So, oh, this is nice. Oh, there we go. I think it's going to be a Mithril helmet. Yeah, it'll be a Mithril helmet. That'll be it for sure. Where is it? I see. In chat, you're saying you saw something? You saw something important? There are some things in here that I'm not supposed to show you. I'm not sure if that's one of those things that you just saw. But if it is, I'm not going to speak of it. Because I think that makes the project a little bit more exciting. Oops. Alright, so I have to kind of find a good way to frame this. It looks very small so far. But let's see, I'm going to edit the properties of it. So I wanted to call it Helm of the White Worm, because Pelennor Whitestrake is the original owner of the original helmet. And I think what I'm going to try and do is there's this lich that inhabits this dungeon that used to be this like holy reliquary. So it's like it's gotten corrupt. There's a lich there and stuff, and this helmet is going to be, it's going to have an enchantment. Yeah, for So Exciting Spoon talking about like says, honestly I wish Creation Club wasn't canon because I feel like there isn't enough Daedric artifacts to scatter. Yeah, I think it's, for me, it's kind of the way that I see it is like somebody's already gone through the work to create that, and I personally I haven't bought any Creation Club DLCs. I kind of, you know, when there's a pay gate for a mod, I'm just like, count me out. Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with the Creation Club as a thing. I think modding is just so much better if it's free. So I'm building this thing instead. I wouldn't consider it canon. Honestly, anything is canon is up to the eye of the beholder. If you have Thomas the Tank Engine in your game, and you want Thomas the Tank Engine to be canon, Thomas the Tank Engine is just as canon as the Creation Club. Because we get to decide these things. So yeah, there's going to be an enchantment. I'm going to see what I want to do. I might make it a little bit cursed. Dogster202 is saying, do a Shivering Isle style cursed enchantment for the helmet. Can you guys refresh me on what that cursed enchantment was? I can do an enchantment where I do a few things. I'm going to start building an enchantment here. Okay, so this thing, oh, did it? Oh, I have to create it again, I guess. Shivering Isles had enchantments with both a benefit and a drawback. Nice. I like that idea a lot. Let me see if I can pull up my notes here. Cool. Okay, so here's my notes. And for here right now I have Helm of the White Worm. And so far I have it planned to be kind of like a lesser version of the Oblivion helmet, which like fortified your speech and stuff. So what this one was going to do is it'll fortify illusion, restoration, and barter. And then I have to think of the drawback. I like that. I really like that idea of like a negative, like you have a detrimental thing to it. I think that's really cool, and I think that's the way we're trying to go with Beyond Skyrim. Is like it's kind of for people who have obviously played Skyrim like a lot. And so they're going to understand a lot of these things. So we can put in things that are like a little bit more challenging. So it's going to have Fortify Illusion by 8 points. And I'm just going to press OK and save just to make sure I get a save. Ooh. Dogster is recommending reduced magicka for the drawback. That would make sense. I'll have to do some more looking at the lore to think of like what would Helena Whitestrake, because he was like he killed a lot of elves, and so negative magicka, that does make some sense. The interesting thing though is that humans have magic too. So like the Nords, they had like these clever man. They called them clever man, and they had magic as well. So magicka might. I'll have to think about that for sure. I'm looking for fortified barter. I don't see barter. I'm gonna look over here. No enchant. Barter, is there any? No, there's no enchant. What is the or weakness to magicka? That's a good one too. Let me see. Burgao the Champ is recommending do like the Necromancer's Amulet. You can put negative 75 regen in health and stamina. That'd be interesting. So like slower magicka regeneration. Yeah. I'll have to think, because okay, so far this is based on what the original was it gave you illusion and it gave you restoration. I feel like it might not be a great idea to also nerf magicka if I'm already boosting magic. Yeah, we're so for chat, just to fill you in on what we're trying to do, we're setting up an enchantment for helmet, which is supposed to be kind of like the Helm of the Champion from Knights of the Nine, which like it had some enchantments, and we're trying to figure out like a new, like a corrupted version of that. Speech? Yeah, that might be it actually. It might be. So enchant, fortify. Speechcraft, there we go. So that's the one I want. And it'll fortify it, I think, just 6. I might amp those up if I give it a negative thing. It's gonna save and open that up again. Okay. So far we're giving a slight fortify to illusion, restoration and barter. And then I want to have a negative one. Let's see what we can do for negative. Okay, I think I have to build a new one. And let's see. I might pull up the UASP Helmet Strike. Okay, here we go. So this is the guy's helmet, and we're creating a corrupted version of this. So Pelinel was a legendary immortal hero that built up kingdoms and then inevitably abandoned them to wander again. He possessed the Crusaders' relics, which were given to him by the 8 Divines. So we're kind of making a corrupted version of those relics. So maybe imagining it would be maybe made by like a Daedra instead. Legends say he often had stretches of homicidal madness, during which he slew indiscriminately and took a toll on the very landscape itself. So among Imperials, he's a hero who helped free Cyrodiil. Among the elves, he was a vicious warlord who slaughtered a bunch of elves. And the Khajiit hate him because he mistook them for another type of Elmeri. So the interesting thing about, I think, the Beyond Skyrim kind of world is that we're living in this place where, you know, like Paladin Whitestrike, a lot of people would be like, yeah, this guy was kind of a jerk. Compared to like back in Oblivion, where they would have been like, wow, this guy's awesome. He did all these awesome things. Now it's the future when everybody can see, you know, the evil parts as well. Let's see. I like that idea. I think the ideas that you guys had with like just a simple like negative magicka is a pretty good idea. I wish I could do something with like this like slaughtering, like the idea that this was kind of like Berserk Crusader. Brugao in chat. There's the thing about being a lich. When getting a reward for increasing your magic power, you also get the bad side effects that are attached to life, like health and stamina. Okay, let me look at what we have. So we have Fortify Illusion, Fortify Restoration, Fortify Barter. I think I'm gonna do that thing that you guys were saying with like a negative magicka, because then you have a Fortify to Illusion and Restoration, but you're also worse at like all magic. So like you're not as good at all magic, but you're a little bit better at like restoration and stuff. I think that's a really good one. So I just need to find. I need to build an enchantment. Actually, I'm building a enchantment that is, I think, Magicka base. Is that what I want to do? I want it to have negative. Yeah, you have less max magicka when you are wearing this thing. So hello, Moonshadow. Welcome. Okay, and then magnitude 20. So what I have to do now is, it's lucky I've done a few of these. I've done some magic effects before when I was working on a mod called Realm of Lorcan, because these things are kind of complicated. The next thing I have to do is go into, I have to create another magic effect, which is this Fortify Magicka Constant Self. I'll duplicate that. So Fortify, I'm going to call it a Curse Magicka Constant Self. And I'm going to put the CYR tag in front. The Underking, welcome. Oh, yeah. You unfortunately missed the bulk of the stream. You're saying, yeah. I guess what do I have? I have about half an hour left. Right now, what I'm trying to do is, I can hear my girlfriend. She's playing Resident Evil in the other room, and like she's like not quite screaming, but I can tell that she's like running away from a monster or something. Okay, so I'm gonna make a curse. Exciting Spoon. Will Goldbrand make an appearance in Cyrodiil? I wish I knew if it would. I hope it does. I think that was one of my favorite swords in Oblivion. Okay, so see if I can, there we go. So this thing here, this is where I edit the things here. And what I want to do is remove recover and check detrimental. And I think what that's going to do is it's going to make it negative. I'll have to test it, but I think that's what it does. Okay, so now if I go to Curse Magic of Constant Self, we're going to make it be like 20 less magic. Go okay. Is that it? I think there's one more thing I have to do. So CYR channel. Oh, cool. That's awesome. The Under King, I've been having a lot of fun in the Christian Kit. I'm about halfway through my first house mod. That's awesome. Moonshadow. Yeah, I will post it up on YouTube afterwards. Yep. I think what I'll probably do is, usually after I wrap up my stream, my process is like, I'll just go right ahead and export it, and then I download it, and then I check to see if it needs any editing. I haven't needed to do any editing lately, so it doesn't take me long at all to get that out there. It might even be up by like tomorrow. Okay, so this one, Curse Magica, it's going to reduce your Magica. Okay, so that should be it. Oh, let me make sure one more thing. Right, I have to change the name so it decreases your Magica by magnitude points. Okay, cool. So it's going to reduce it by 20 points, but it's going to make your restoration skill go up by, I'm going to upgrade that to 8 now that there's a negative. It's going to make your barter skill go up by 6, so that's a nice little bonus. And should it do that though? I almost think it shouldn't, because this is a cursed thing. It's not going to make your barter skill go up. That doesn't make sense if it's cursed. It'll make your restoration go up. I think that's good. And then your illusion also up. I like that. That's a good one. You think 8's too weak, you guys? 8 is pretty weak. It's just like 8 levels. Okay, I'll increase that up to 10 for both those magic ones. The Ender King asking, do you ever run into issues with shadow lights? Is there a limit that you know of? There is. I think there's a limit to like 4. I think 4 is the limit in like your view. And like it's kind of complicated because it's like not quite your view, but it's like more than your view. So usually I'd say like 3 or 4 shadow lights is probably the best, because when you're walking around you'll see them flicker and turn on and off. But yeah, I think that's good. So for the helmet here is going to be, it'll give you 10 to illusion, 10 to restoration, but it's going to reduce your max magicka by 25. It'll take a little bit of a chunk out of it, because if you have like 200, then that's about 10% of your max magicka that you're going to lose. But you're going to get a pretty big, that's a plus 10, that's a pretty hefty bonus to illusion or anything. So I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to edit the helmet, and I'm going to add that enchantment on. So here's the helmet. Go CYR enchant. I have to get rid of one thing because I actually have an extra thing in here. Enchant armor, curse magic base. I think that's just like that. Glock Squawk asking, is there also a limit on how many lights can be cast on an object? I remember that having too many lights would cause flickering when using a torch. That's true, yeah. That's one way to test to see if you have too many lights around is if you walk around your level holding a torch, if you see any flickering, that means you have too many lights getting cast onto an object. The limit for lights on an object is about 4 as well. So just making sure, a good way to do it, I'm just going to set this and I'll show you guys that. So enchant, what was it, CYR enchant, Vanua helmet enchant. So that's my enchantment. And then I'm going to boost that to be like, not 9,000, but like 3,200 or something. It's kind of, it's a cursed helmet. It's not going to be super expensive. And press OK on that. OK on that. So for lights, the best way to tell if you're building a level and you're like, I want to see how many lights are on it. If you hit M, I mean that's going to toggle your markers, but the most helpful thing is these rings, because you can kind of see like where they overlap and everything. So if I hit T to go on the top, and then I hit 0 to go into isometric view, you can see your whole level and you can see where these rings intersect. And the whole goal is just making sure that you don't have too many lights intersecting. Yeah, so like I'll show you, I have 2 lights here. If I put another one, now I have 3 lights intersecting. Now I have 4 lights intersecting. You know, now I have like 5 lights intersecting. And so you can see like all these rings. If you're trying to add lighting, you can add more lights is one way to do it. The other way to do it is if I go over here and I go edit on my cell, I'm just going to bombard you guys with lighting knowledge because lighting's like my favorite one. I just noticed you made a pun when you said this is enlightening, and that's brilliant. So the other thing you can do with lighting is you go into your cell. So I'm working in Vanua 2. I go edit, pops open this edit cell thing, and there's this lighting tab here, lighting template. You have this ambient color. So if you want to make it brighter, uncheck this ambient color, set it to be something that you kind of want your base color to be, press OK, and then go over to this directional ambient lighting tab. And then you click on set from ambient, and then click on apply, and that's going to change the base color of your ambient lighting. So I'm going to do that again. So I go into edit, I'm going to go into my lighting, I'm going to change the ambient lighting, it's going to be a little darker and a little bit more green. And I go directional ambient lighting, set from ambient, click OK. And then you just kind of mess around with that until you find the right balance. And if I hit sky here, it's going to show me the fog as well, because fog's always really important. Alright, cool. So we got the helmet done. I'm stoked about that. I will have to test it at some point, but the thing that I would like to do is keep on building this thing that it's sitting on. It's supposed to be kind of like on an altar. Oh, hey, I'm gonna build a really cool thing. It's gonna be different for sure. I'm gonna just put a bunch of objects out here. This is the coolest thing. This is the way that I recommend building, is go through the list, find a bunch of cool stuff, and just drop it into your scene. Because you'll find a place to put it eventually, even if you don't put it, right there. Some pillars, drop that pillar down there. Yeah, we're gonna make our own altar. There's no altar necessarily directly in the kit, so I'm gonna make my own. It's gonna be a cool one. It's gonna be built of like a few different things. rubble pieces. I'll throw these somewhere. Just throw some rubble out there too. Why not? It's the Bob Ross way of level design. A little bit of rubble over there. A little happy skeleton over there. There are no mistakes. There are only Easter eggs. Is he under King in chat? Heckin' yeah. Dobbly Blob, does this go onto PS4 with mods? I wish. When I can, I make stuff available on PS4, but the Beyond Skyrim project includes like some quests and like custom scripts and stuff. So unfortunately, this one won't be available for PS4. I have some mods that I've made personally that are available on PS4 that I would really highly recommend, because I've been trying to make them for PS4. I have some level mods. I have like Realm of Lorcan, which is like an alternate start mod, which is really awesome. If you don't have an alternate start mod on PS4 yet, definitely check out Realm of Lorcan. There are some limits as far as like what we can do with PS4, because Sony decided to not support custom scripts, just in the interest of like their platform security and stuff, which is, you know, it's unfortunate, because it does prevent a lot of the deeper mods that we can do. Exciting Spoon 65 asking, what's the story behind the Greek Flame? So I'll show you over in Oblivion. I'm trying to recreate this thing here. So that scene that I'm building, it's supposed to be kind of exactly the same. And what I imagine this to be is, because this is, skeleton's walking right over it. So this is supposed to be like kind of this holy reliquary, and so I feel like that flame is like the spiritual flame of like Pelennor Whitestrake, like this champion whose helmet this helmet used to belong to, and so I feel like that flame was like the spirit of Pelennor Whitestrake. And so over here, it's a green flame, and the idea is that it has become corrupted and kind of forgotten over time. I'm planning on adding a lich. I'm planning on adding vines crawling all over this place, all kinds of rubble and decoratives and stuff. But yeah, that's the story behind the green flame there. And the helmet, yes, you will be able to get that helmet. If I go over to Oblivion, I can actually pick it up. So I'm gonna, or can I? Maybe I can't until I have the quest. Yeah, I don't think I can pick it up until I have the quest. But the helmet itself is the Helm of the Crusader, and it gives you some buffs. It's part of like the whole Crusader kit that you get. And then this is kind of this corrupted replica of it. But yeah, so far, what I'm trying to do right now is build this altar, because over on the Oblivion side, it looks a lot neater. Over on this side, however, I have to figure out how to set it up. So I think it's going to be multiple blocks that I put together. Exciting Spoon Is the whole set going to be in the game? I don't know. It might be. I think we might actually do something like that. I can't. I'll have to look at like. I mean, I probably won't look at it, but I think it would be a matter of checking out what dungeons did get all of the Helm of the Crusader and everything like that, and then checking and seeing like, okay, in these dungeons, do we want to make these replicas? I think that'd be a really cool thing to do, and I hope that more of the people in the project also kind of go like, that would be awesome. Like, let's try and make that happen. For me, I still have a lot of work to do on this dungeon, so I might check that out over the next months or years that we're working on Beyond Skyrim, because I think that would be kind of cool. Imagine having, you know, this whole set of corrupted Pelennor Whitestrake gear. That would be cool. Kind of like Lich gear, almost like a Lich armor set. Blub asking, is there a mod maker on PS4? The way to make mods for PS4 is on PC. You can I can actually publish stuff that goes over to the Bethesda.net platform for modding. So all the modding, like all the mods made available on PS4, have been built on PC. I hope that Bethesda makes it easier to make mods in the future. I think that's one of my biggest asks for like the creation kit, is for them to make it more accessible, make it easier for people to create quests and create levels and everything. Alright, I think that's kind of decent. I like that. I'm gonna put this brick somewhere. It's all gonna look very ruined. And I haven't even got to the vines. I'm gonna put some vines in. I'll just be streaming for about 10 more minutes, so. Let's see, crow's vine on the floor. This is what we're getting into now. The vines just add so much of this like visual depth. Asking Exciting Spoon, will Beyond Skyrim be available for mobile players? I don't know. I'm not sure how all of the different platforms work. I'm more familiar with like just the classic like computer, Xbox, and PS4. I think those are the ones that it's mostly available for. It depends. I hope that they sometimes it's up to like those companies and stuff if they're gonna do it. I don't know if there's any modding on Switch. I think that would be cool if Nintendo opened that up. Exciting Spoon saying you're kidding. The thing with me is that I try and be very, very patient and accepting of people. So like sarcasm, if people are being sarcastic to me, a lot of times it just goes completely over my head because I try and treat everybody with patience. Here's a saying, don't tempt the Todd. You know, he could probably make a lot more sales on Switch if they had allowed modding on it. Just saying. Skyrim for 3DS. Honestly, there doesn't need to be any more games. We're good. We have Skyrim. We can just keep playing this game forever. Ooh, this is looking cool. This is what I was hoping to get to. And I will be getting to this kind of stuff more over the next few streams. This is I do this thing weekly, and every week I make a little bit more progress. Dobby Blob, what's one of your mod names? I'll be sure to check it out. For PS4, check out Realm of Lorcan. I'll type it down for you because it's spelled kind of funny. Realm of Lorcan. That one is an alternate start mod, and it's really cool. It might be incompatible with some other mods, so like just keep that in mind. It might not work with everything, but Realm of Lorcan it changes the beginning of the game, and it lets you start and like really, you don't start in like that carriage like opening in the cart kind of thing. Yeah. That one's a good one. I think I have a few mods that are available for PlayStation 4. See Under King saying, in my quarantine boredom, I'm trying to adapt Morrowind as a Netflix-esque miniseries, and I'm casting Todd as Fargoth, looking for his ring that just works. I think Todd would make a really good actor, to be honest. I wish he did. You know, there's always like those people, and I'm sure, you know, we get so much out of Todd already. We get so much more enjoyment from him, literally based on the fact that he doesn't contribute to these memes or anything at all. He's just been completely silent on them, which is for the best. But I kind of do wonder, like, what about that alternate reality where Todd just like took off with his fame and was like, I'm gonna live my life. Cameo role. That'd be interesting. So like Todd shows up for like just a little bit, like, you know, the first episode. I would be very curious if they ever made like a Skyrim TV series or like an Elder Scrolls one. I could see it happening. Like, there's enough enjoyment of the fan base, but I think at the same time, so much of Elder Scrolls is personal enjoyment. It hasn't quite gotten to that like Witcher level of public. You know, like I think The Witcher comparatively is very, very much like a public thing that people. Yeah, I don't know. It would be very interesting if they did a Elder Scrolls series. Would definitely give me something to watch while I'm modding. I watch a lot of like Lefebvre Bros is one thing that I watch a lot when I'm doing modding. Because it's great because they have so much of their Oblivion content too. So like I'll be working on Beyond Skyrim Oblivion, and I'll just like watch them playing through the same dungeons that I'm working on. Have you heard of the High Elves? Epic weirdo kid in chat. I just love the idea that, like, so when they're practicing for those shows, they were talking about, like, in their car, like, they'll practice those voice lines. I just think it's awesome. Those guys have done such a great job. And, yeah. Alright. I think I might call it. Yeah, I am super stoked with this progress today. I did some moving around of some objects. I built this area over here with this area, which is really cool. One of the things that I thought would be a struggle when I first started working with this kit was making it interesting and making sure that I can use this Imperial Ruin kit, because really this is the same mesh as existing in Skyrim. We've just reskinned this mesh to fit the type of stone found in Cyrodiil. And I was thinking, like, at first I'm like, oh man, how am I going to make it look interesting and unique? I think it's coming along. It's going to look even better once I have the vines and, you know, water falling down and stuff like that. But yeah, it's interesting. You know, every time you just spend more hours on it and you start building it up, it's just really a matter of perseverance in building this stuff. So yeah, thanks for coming by, to all of you, and I'll upload the stream onto YouTube as well pretty soon. So yeah, thanks again. And if you do have some extra money to, like, donate to, like, a cause or something, at the bottom of the stream, underneath the stream, I have a link to a Black Lives Matter donation that you can make. So please consider donating some money. It's very important, and it changes people's lives. I think that's one of the big things I want to encourage for all of us to do is, you know, take action, do these things that can help people out, because it's important. But yeah, so next week, I'll see you guys again. I'm gonna I haven't done this before, but I'm gonna make you guys raid somebody. And let's see, who do I have? I have a few people. I wish I had more modders, but I'll get you guys to just raid one of the people that I enjoy. Yeah. So I hope you guys have a good time. See you guys next week. Take it easy. Make sure you take some time to relax. Goodbye.